So I was browsing through the racks at VStock when a PlayStation 4 game caught my eye. World of Simulators. It's a disc that includes 4 whole video games on it. Firefighter Simulation, Professional Construction Simulation, Professional Farmer, and Forestry Simulation. Now, once upon a time, the word simulator on a game meant that it was a garbage fire, no-effort shovelware asset flip on Steam that someone whacked the word simulator onto for memes. But we've had some gems reclaim that title in recent years, like the fun and hilarious Goat Simulator and Job Simulator. And with an actual PlayStation 4 disc that retails for a full $60, these have to be quality releases. Right? Let's start out with Firefighters The Simulation 2017. Odd, the box is copyrighted 2019, but whatever. Let's see what the life of a fireman is like. Oh, apparently firemen spawn in a world of stock Unity assets, staring at a guy kind of hovering on the ground. Their shelves are windows into another dimension, and they turn their heads so fast with such a chonky frame rate that I immediately got a migraine before I dropped the sensitivity. The game's tutorial doesn't explain jack. This dude just leads you around the extremely empty firehouse, showing you all the rooms. You will use exactly one of these rooms, and the douchebag walks so damn slowly that the tutorial takes something like 10 minutes to sit through, so I started amusing myself by phasing through the instructor's body over and over because there are no collision physics with other people. Also, given that my eyeline seems to go into the small of his back, I am apparently playing as a dwarf. You're left just kind of wandering around the firehouse until a call comes in to respond to an emergency, so I dash to the garage and I can't get into any of the vehicles. Hello? Can anybody give me a ride? I'm mashing every button. I can't actually get inside any of the trucks! Hello? Guys? Okay, I guess I'll just walk there. You know, playing janky puke like this, the odds are pretty decent that I can walk on water. Well, not only does water no longer exist once you touch it, but touching it instantly fails the day. Good to know. Okay, new plan. If I can't climb inside the cars, I'll climb onto the roof and surf my way to the emergencies. Got a call for a new mission, so let's go! Why is nobody responding to the call? I think the game broke-a-did. Restart the game. I'm starting to think this thing is completely No! There's a van at the far end of the garage, and it's the only vehicle that I'm allowed inside? How the hell was I supposed to know that? The game is split into days where you work 24-hour shifts, which are just 30 minutes of real time. Each day you're allowed to drive exactly one vehicle, and since there's literally nothing to do in the game world, you just sit on your ass for minutes on end waiting for a mission to pop up. I'm serious, there is not a single damn thing that you can interact with in the environment except for refueling and washing your truck, which I guess explains why your captain is always bitching at you about cleanliness. Some actual friggin' gameplay commences when I get called to a dump of suspicious substances. You drive out to the objective, grab the robot that you didn't know was in the back of your van, drive it out to the flashing objective you didn't notice was on your radar, and take a sample of the substance. Then you use the computer you didn't know was in your van to study the substance and find out that it's safe. Then you use the what on the swap body truck? I don't know what those words mean! What it means is that one of these 6 anonymous trucks that followed you out here has 3 hidden compartments full of completely unlabeled anonymous gadgets, and 2 of them are weird unmarked barrel things, one of which you can use to suck up the mysterious substance, and then you win. And then, just to make sure I've got the formula down, I get called out to do that exact same mission again. Eventually, I get called to respond to an actual fire. You drive out to a location where a fire GIF has been placed on some object, grab a fire extinguisher, and hold R2 for a few seconds. 5 minutes of waiting and 2 minutes of driving for 5 seconds of holding down a button. And that's your gameplay. Although dirt simple as this is, I still had to restart a day because while there isn't anything stopping you from driving off-road, my van got stuck on some terrain and I have absolutely no way of getting it free. About the only useful information in the tutorial is that you can go to your room and sleep to make the day go faster, except you can only sleep for 4 hours a day, which is not enough to bypass all the empty filler in between calls. Hey game! If I wanted to sit on ass doing nothing but wait for a mission to start, I'd play Shenmue! I guess I could pass the time going to town and trying to get laid. There are plenty of women walking around. Cheese and rice, what is wrong with your face? Well, after about an hour of grind, I get promoted up to being an actual fireman, I get to drive an actual fire truck, and I finally get called to an actual fire in this firefighter simulation. Finally, I get to leap into action and act out the life of an American hero. Oh, you just go inside a building where some cheap flat gifs of flames are pasted around the room, and you hold the right trigger to shoot them. That's it. The only thing that warrants calling this a simulator is how you die if you go inside without the breathing mask that I hope you just happened to notice was in the back of your truck. It's okay if you die, though. Just don't save the game and you won't get demoted for screwing up. In each fire, you also have to grab a victim lying on the ground and carry them outside to a waiting ambulance. Wait, where the hell is the ambulance? No, I'm serious. 6 or so other vehicles follow you to this site, and the one that I actually need isn't here. Great. I can't take my helmet off and I can't drop the victim, so I'm just going to stand here and die because the game bugged out. Well, after a few solid minutes of wandering around trying to figure out what to do, the ambulance finally pulls up. Where the hell have you guys been? Did you stop for White Castle? I swear, if I find one empty slider box in the back of that van, I'm gonna take my fire hose and give y'all free enemas. Oh, and the fire truck is exactly the same as the survey truck, only it carries some slightly different tools. I'm still getting the same missions since calls keep coming in to clean up oil spills by pouring absorbent and sweeping it away. You get called to so damn many oil spills in this game, you'd think this were BP's headquarters or something. Although the text on the bag of absorbent being written in German at least tells me which country to nuke as recompense for playing this trash. After some more grind, I get promoted to leading fireman, and I get to drive the SWAT body truck, which does absolutely nothing except carry some slightly different equipment. I get called to escort a truck that's carrying nuclear materials. Pretty sure there are dozens of spy or superhero shows that open like this. Only I net an instant fail for barely clipping a cop car in a massive bus with floaty controls. All you do is follow a very slow police van through empty roads for several minutes, and then I immediately get called to do this exact mission again, only there are still cop cars all over the map, and I clip another one and insta-fail again. And it turns out that if you fail for a day and then you don't exit the game on your own, the game bugs itself unplayable, because a prompt appeared in the corner that I needed to go drain off some oil somewhere, but no objective marker ever actually spawned so that I could go and find it. Then the procedural generation decided to screw me royal by withholding missions, leaving me stranded bored, and it was somewhere around the 7th oil spill that I was called to in a row that I realized I'd rather binge the Twilight movies than play this anymore. This isn't a firefighter simulator. This is like 2 or 3 rock-stupid activities that you do over and over again in the same truck repainted to look like different trucks. Wait around ages with your thumb up your ass, and even when something happens, nothing actually happens. Seriously, how is this okay to sell on a disc for $60? So, which of the 3 remaining activities sounds like it'd be the least boring? Let's try professional construction, the simulation. Oh, no. It's got the same music and menu as Firefighters did. In this game, you play as a construction worker who I guess is opening his own company because you have no other employees and no boss. You start with nothing but a truck, a jackhammer, and a flat roller, and you drive around fixing potholes, saving up the cash to purchase other vehicles so that you can take on actual construction jobs. Luckily, there are so many cracks in the streets needing repair that I suspect they filmed Godzilla vs. Kong here, so it doesn't take long before I save up enough to buy the dump truck, which you need for most of the jobs. So at last, I get my first construction contract! I need to transport tons of sand to the city square so that they can build a playground. So I drive to the quarry that's wedged into the absolute furthest corner of the map to buy sand, and then I drive to the center of the city to dump it. Your car moves excruciatingly slowly the entire trip, and then when you finally make it, the sand you dump doesn't even come close to filling the quota. I have to make 4 trips to the quarry and back to keep getting more sand. And I don't like sand! It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere! This one job takes over 40 shittin' minutes to complete! 40 minutes of driving a slow-ass truck down an empty road with no obstacles while nothing happens! This is Desert Bus! I paid money to play Desert Bus! And as I slowly crawl along this road, bored out of my mind, I can't help but wonder, why aren't there any other cars on the road? Why doesn't the city have any pedestrians or inhabitants? Is this after the rapture and your main character has gone insane from loneliness, fixing up a city in the vain hope that the people will return? The same small handful of jobs reappears endlessly. Is this some kind of purgatory dimension where, like Sisyphus of myth, you are doomed to unending, futile manual labor for the rest of your days unless you can find a way to escape? Or was the developer a lazy hack job using the word simulator to sell an asset flip driving game with zero actual gameplay? The sad thing is, completing this job only gets you $3,500 in the game, minus the cost of buying all the sand, which is way less than you'd get if you've spent all that time fixing potholes. I did some other jobs with the dump truck. They don't pay any better, so it gets obvious real quick that you're way better off trolling around in the starter vehicle than you are actually doing the crap that you have to work to unlock. Okay, I spent a few hours fixing roads, yes, hours, until I earned enough cash to buy most of the remaining vehicles. I'll do one of the more complicated jobs that uses some more machines because surely there has to be some actual gameplay somewhere around here. I'll replace an airport runway, that job sounds good. First I get to use a milling machine to break up the old and busted ground. Great! There's just one problem! Seriously, I have done nothing to this footage. They make you drive the slowest damn vehicle that has ever existed in the history of video games. It takes a little over 9 minutes just to get to the airport. Longer because I run into a fence and have to drive around it. And once I finally get there, you know what you do with this special vehicle that you had to grind to unlock? You drive over a patch of dirt playing the same damn mowing the lawn activity as when you were filling potholes. All these fancy new vehicles that you unlock don't seem to actually do anything except get used to drive over specific surfaces. And then I have to drive this vehicle or just walk all the way back to my headquarters because now I need the dump truck and there's no way to fast travel home or automatically bring the truck out here. And once I get the truck, I need to drive to the edge of town to buy asphalt, drive back to the airport to dump it, and the completion meter barely fills at all, so it'll probably take at least 4 more trips back and forth to get enough asphalt, only for me to then have to drive home and back again to go and get the steamroller. I don't know if this is the labor of some chuckle nuts who thought that Desert Bus was the funniest damn thing ever made, so let's stealth remake it and charge over $10 for one joke, but this is easily, by a mile, by leaps and bounds, the most boring video game that I've ever played. And yes, I am counting the previous record holder for that honor, Space Camp, because at least Space Camp was only 5 hours long. This game tries to trick you into playing endless hours on end, missions where you don't do anything on the promise that you'll unlock new missions only to find that you don't do anything in those either, so you're just driving the slowest vehicles to ever exist on empty roads forever. This isn't parody and this isn't satire. This is one of the worst games I've ever played. And the sick thing is, I still have 2 games left on this disc. Well, I'm bored and pissed the hell off. I'll try Forestry 2017, the simulation, next. Maybe what I need is to visit a nice, calming forest. and cut it down. Although Forestry Simulation is made by a different developer, maybe there's hope for this one after all, he said before watching mountains and trees pop into existence with absolutely zero fade-in. You play as a lumberjack. You walk out to trees, cut them down with a chainsaw, and then take a horse and tow the trees back to your headquarters to sell them. That's it. It controls like pig crap, with the pick-up function only working when it feels like it, and the camera regularly glitching so that you can't move it to see where the hell you're going for a big-ass tree in the way. I'm not skipping over any of the gameplay here, it's just walking back and forth. The only interesting things that occur are the lack of animations where your character slides along the ground, the horse floats over trees, or if you work at night, your flashlight will just have the entire environment flicker like crazy from lighting effects switching on and off multiple times a second. Plus, there's a recurring glitch where your character and horse fuse into one and the game becomes unplayable until you quit and get back in. Oh, and I don't know why there's a save button in the menu. The game auto-saves everything you do anyway. Every now and then you'll get mail offering you assignments like this one where a customer is asking for 91 pounds of spruce. I have no idea what spruce looks like or where to find it because the game drops you in with no tutorial and all the trees look the damn same. Wasn't until hours later I found out you can pull up a map showing the trees' locations, but the map doesn't show where you are, so that's useless anyway! The sad thing is, this is still better than Firefighters in construction because you move at a decent pace, you're not sitting on ass waiting for something to happen, and there's a fast travel system to cut down on some of the aimless walking. At least the horse is kind of cute. Once you have some cash, you can hire on staff, assign them to jobs, rent out new buildings to grow your business. As you cut down and transport trees, you level up and gain skill points that you can dump into extending the day or reducing costs of rent and labor. New buildings and expansions are locked off until you've leveled up enough, so there's sort of a business management sim here, in between the boring-ass game where you walk to and from trees for hours on end. And I know you'll be utterly shocked by this, but they screwed up the business parts too. I noticed pretty quickly that even if you hire several workers and buy all the buildings, your labor and rent costs are pretty minuscule compared to what you get paid for selling wood. So once I had about a dozen workers, I ran a little experiment. I parked my ass next to the warehouse, stepped away from the PlayStation 4, and went off to binge some That 70s Show, only interacting with the game to end each day and to sell off the wood that my employees had collected on their own. I made $40,000 a day in-game, doing absolutely nothing. And that's with over half my staff being assigned to reforestation, which doesn't seem to do anything. You don't have to manage the staff or equipment in any way, you just get infinite money for doing nothing. Come for the forestry simulation, stay for the capitalism simulation. You'd think the major drawback to this plan would be that you don't get any XPs to level up and get new buildings because you aren't harvesting trees yourself. Not true! You also get XP by completing assignments that come in the mail. I got a customer who asked for 30-some-odd pounds of beech. I just let the game run while I went out for a meatball sub and my employees completed the job for me. They did such an abysmal job balancing the game that it almost completely plays itself. I played just long enough to unlock the garage, which takes a few hours of grind regardless of whether you actually work or not. And the garage is where you can buy vehicles to hopefully speed up the process of driving out to and transporting trees. First I bought a pickup truck, which does literally nothing. It can't carry logs, it can't transport anything. The hell good is it? Then I bought this thing. You aren't told what any of this crap is or what it does. Turns out it's a trailer that you can equip to the tractor, so now we're in business. As soon as day breaks and I can see shit again. Well, the trailer's claw can barely lift anything, so you have to saw the tree into separate segments, and then you have to pick up every individual piece with the claw, which controls like pig crap between constantly getting hung up on the trailer and the camera still glitching out to where it won't move so I can see what I'm doing. Between the frustration and the time commitment to work the claw and pick up these damn logs, I don't think the tractor is any faster than the horse is. Oh, and just in case the tractor trailer worked a little too expediently for you, there's also a crane that you can buy to attach to the tractor. It's exactly the same as the trailer, only without a place to store logs, so that you have to painstakingly transport pieces of wood to your depot, one tiny portion at a time. So no, there is no way to harvest trees faster. By this point, I had pretty much decided that I was all the way done with this pile of shit, so I went back to the garage, bought the SUV, found that the SUV also does nothing, and drove around the map playing with the horrible lighting pop-in until I got stuck on an invisible wall. And that was by far the most fun that I had with this hot garbage. Forestry Simulation is the best game on the disc so far, and that is saying virtually nothing. And I'm only calling it the best because it didn't actively piss me off. When a game is so broken that you can win by doing nothing, and it's not an intentional Luigi joke, you have screwed up! Only one game left, Professional Farmer 2017. Let's see if this travesty can go out with a bang. Probably not, since it crashed the first time that I tried to load it. The tutorial is half a friggin' hour long as it runs you through the basics. You climb on your tractor, find a field to buy, then drive over it 5 frickin' times to plow it, grub it, fertilize it with pig crap, plant it, and then later harvest it. You also have animal pens that you can drive to and from 3 times to give them food, water, and hay. Everything either gives you items that you can sell at a market for food or produces more pig crap for fertilizer, so it's a basic resource management game with a crapload of driving between every single minor step to pad it out to Kingdom Come! So I exit the tutorial to start a real game, drive around 15 minutes looking for the guy who sells you animals, and early red flag, all the fields in the actual game are a long-ass distance from your farm, just to add even more padding of actually driving multiple times to and from all your harvests. I buy some pigs, some chickens and sheep, and head home. None of the trailers that you need to transport food or water for your animals are anywhere to be found on the farm, nor can I find a store from which to purchase them. All that stuff was just sitting there in the tutorial, but there's not a word of explanation of what I'm missing. Well, okay. Maybe the game meant for me to tend some fields before moving on to animals, so let's hitch up the plow and go looking for... I said let's hitch up the plow! The game has completely bugged out to where I can't put any attachments onto the trailer. Despite the prompt in the corner telling me otherwise, and despite the fact that hitching up the pig crap machine worked earlier, so I can't plant any fields. Game disappeared all my animal equipment and glitched all my farming equipment. I guess there's nothing to do but play with my doggy, roll around with my poor starving piggies, and piss off motorists by blocking up the road so that cars pile up behind me. Great! Plus, I scoured all the hotspots at my farm. The only thing near as I can tell that you can actually do with your money is improve the storage capacity of your tanks, not buy new equipment or grow your business. So this doesn't even have the slim hint of gameplay that Forestry Simulation had of managing a business. One of the hint screens said that you can assign workers to help in the fields, but I never found a place to hire any workers, and I'm beginning to suspect the game is just wholly unfinished. I tried the game again, skipping the tutorial and not buying any animals, just beelined right for a field to start planting. The field that I bought takes, and I am not making this up, a bare minimum of 25 minutes to plow it. And then another 25 minutes to grub it. And that was as far as I got because my patience is long since shot and I'm fed the hell up with driving in circles doing nothing for a video game. Sure, maybe if I spend a few hours driving around this damn world map, I might eventually find some hitherto unknown stores tucked in a corner where you can hire workers or get the missing animal equipment, even though the first thing I did was scour the map and find nothing but markets to sell shit. But even if there is a way to get this game working right, it's still nothing but driving in circles while some asswipe scam artist laughs at you for spending money on his game. You know, I actually do work with farming equipment for my day job. I've spent days out in the field where big-ass machines like this are planting and harvesting seeds. Days farming in a field are long, spent driving huge circles around big empty plots of land, and spent putting up with equipment malfunctions out the wazoo. But you know what? There is a world of difference between doing long, tedious work for a job where you get paid, the satisfaction of contributing to society, and making and hanging out with friends at work, versus wasting your free time from said tedious job sitting around doing nothing because some hack video game developer thought it'd be funny. Okay, let's cut the crap on the off chance that this wasn't already obvious. Every game on this disc is a Unity Store asset flip shovelware game that originated on Steam. These titles migrated individually to the PlayStation Store with a price hike shortly after Life of Black Tiger rang the sirens that Sony was taking any and all garbage fires. 4 crappy asset flips on Steam is a slow Tuesday morning. 4 crappy asset flips on the PlayStation 4 is troubling, but not surprising. This review exists because I want to know how the hell this shovelware compilation made it onto an actual PlayStation 4 disc selling in actual stores for $60, disguised and priced as a AAA title so that unsuspecting players think that they're getting an actual video game. Don't worry, I got my copy used for less than half the price because I knew straight away exactly what it was, but your average customer who doesn't spend way too much time assing around the internet doesn't know what this is. This isn't even a question of Sony's eroding standards for quality control because there's another World of Simulators release with 3 different games on the Switch! Elaine swears that the Switch version is better, but let's just say I don't trust his seal of quality, besides the fact that better is a bar so low that champion limbo dancers in hell would gawk at it. How does some bottom-feeding, no-talent, hackneyed sack of shit manage to take a whole stack of non-games this far? When there's no more room in hell, the shit shall walk the earth.